Hey, hi, and howdy, my friends. Those who know me well are aware I'm very fond of this talking dog and his four friends. Scooby-Doo has been a part of my childhood ever since I was very young, and many other people's childhoods too. Lots of people expressed their love for the franchise, especially the live-action films. I see plenty of people reminiscing about the live-action movies and their cast's goofy scripts and how surprisingly accurate they are to the cartoon. But what's interesting is that this was not the first attempt to get Scoob to work in a live-action setting. The 80s were a big time for movies, but specifically big for adaptations. Movies like Popeye and the Superman films showed how comics could be adapted into motion pictures and make a big old stack of cash. And one Jane Ronson wanted to see how far that idea could be pushed. Lost media is something that Twitter says is really cool. In our modern time of the interwebs, there's a large portion of people who are kind of obsessed with finding some movie or advertisement or speck of dust that's been lost to time. But one piece of semi-lost film media I don't see anyone talking about is the cancelled Scooby-Doo live-action movie from '84. Jane Ronson was the one who wrote the screenplay and proposed the idea for this thing, 18 years before the 2002 movie came out, by the way. Now, if you're wondering how her career has been since then, booming. Orion Pictures was the production company that was signed on for the project, and knowing the work that came after the proposed release date of 1986, this actually had promised to be slightly competent. And of course, every movie needs a director, and Jane threw around the name Frank Darabont when trying to get the project greenlit, and he actually agreed to do it because his kids were a big fan of the show. Now we gotta check what he did after '86, and this guy was gonna direct the Scooby-Doo movie. Unfortunately, this is where most of the information ends. There is a single archived interview with Jane from '87 about how the movie didn't come to be, where she talks about her script and how it was 180 pages long! Just for reference here, Oppenheimer's script is around 180 pages long. That's fucking nuts. What the hell were they doing? Apparently the movie was gonna be really dark, which, okay? I get that Scooby-Doo is themed around horror, and maybe they wanted the movie to seem a little more adult, how they went with a similar direction for the 2002 one, but what Jane detailed is definitely a bit much. She said there was straight up murder in the film, with the monster being a killer who wears the victim's skin, which is definitely a way to adapt Scooby-Doo. The interview was honestly pretty interesting. They wanted to use puppetry to get Scooby-Doo to work in a live-action setting, similar to what they did with Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back. And we have this single picture of the first logo design, which is infinitely scarier than anything that was going to be in the film itself. But the last thing that we know about is the proposed cast. Don Messick voiced the Doo in the 80s, but according to Jane, who really seemed to be spearheading this whole thing now that I look at it, he didn't want to be a part of something too distant from the show. Jane said Frank suggested Robin Williams because of his morkiness in Mork and Mindy. Yes, that is a real quote from the guy who made The Shawshank Redemption. Obviously, we never got this movie. The reason isn't detailed in the interview, and I couldn't find anything else on the project, but it is interesting that they were contemplating shitty cartoon adaptations ever since the 80s. Now, if this movie did release, I don't know how good or bad it would be. From being honest, from what little we know, it was probably gonna turn out horribly. But a part of me does kinda wish it was released. Logo still sucks though.